Hi, I'm Mrs. D Math. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to go over identifying and representing functions in 8th grade math. A function has exactly one output to each input. We input a value to the function and get the output or the result. And when we're using graphs and tables, the input is the x and the output is the y. So we're going to look at a few different diagrams here so we can determine if it is a function or if it is not. And this is called a mapping diagram. This is a common way to show the relationship between the input and the output values. So if you look here, we have two ovals with numbers, and these numbers have arrows pointing between them. So that means that this input, 1, so the left is your input, the right is your output. If you notice, the arrow is pointing to the output. So for 1, when I input 1, my result or my output is 6. When I input 5, my output is 8, 9 goes to 4, and 12 goes to 10. So because this one has only one output for each input, this would be considered a function. If we look at another one here, again, this left side is your input and the right side is your output. 0 goes to 1, 5 goes to 2 and 4, and 7 goes to 3. So this one doesn't follow my rule because 5 actually has 2 outputs that go with this one input. So this one is not a function. And this last one here, we have 5 goes with 3, 6 goes to 0, 7 goes to 5, and 8 goes to 3. If you notice, 8 and 5 both go to the 3. But I still only have one output for each input. None of these inputs have double lines or arrows. So this one is a function. So all we're looking for is to make sure that each input only has one output. So functions can also be represented by using a table. A table is a function if the numbers in the input do not repeat. So here we're going to look at a table. And we already have our input and output labeled. If you notice the input, all of the numbers are different and they all go to a different output. None of the numbers in the input repeat. So this is a function. If we look at the second table, we have 7, 8, 2, 5, 7, and 4. So you notice the 7 repeats. And because there's 2 7s, this one is not a function. You can see here in the first table, I do have one of the outputs repeating. 5 is a repeating output, but the output is not what we're looking at. We want the input to be all different numbers, and they have to be going to different outputs. So only one output per input. So the one on the left is a function. The one on the right is not a function. And the last one we want to look at here is the graphs. Functions can be represented by using a graph. A graph is a function if it passes the vertical line test. So if you notice here, I have two graphs and they just kind of have some sporadic dots. They don't have any particular points that make a line. It could make a line, but in this case we don't. But we just want to see for every input. So we said in the very beginning that the x is your input, the y is going to be your output. So I'm looking here to see, are any of the x's repeating? So I'm looking vertically here, and it looks like nothing is repeating. So this one passes the vertical line test. What you'll do is take a pencil and run it up and down vertically across your graph. And if none of the dots cross the pencil at the same time, then it passes the vertical line test. So this one is a function because there are no dots or points on the same value of x. If we look at the one on the right, we can see both of these are at an x value of 4. These are both at an x value of 13. So we can see here that this one would not pass the vertical line test because if I ran my pencil vertically across my graph, then it would cross these two dots that I circled first at the same time, and it would cross these other 2 points at the same time. So this one does not make a function. So thanks for joining me today for identifying and representing functions in 8th grade math. We're going to have a couple more videos to follow that also continue with functions. You can find those linked below. I'm Mrs.D Math. Have a great day. Bye.